Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're taking a look at the Remus Repeal, Batch 8. Dustin, what are we drinking?
So, Mike, this is a series that started off from our good friends at MGP, who have since rebranded to the law firm known as Ross and Squib.
They're not MGP anymore?
They're now
brand products rebranded?
They're now rebranding as... And
what?
Ross and Squib can only be referred to as a law firm because you can't be a whiskey distillery. You can call yourself that. Ross and Squib. Tell me that's not a law firm.
Squib better be good. He better be good.
So anyway, Mike, this is...
Tentacles?
Hey, that's part of the game. I don't think we've brought any of the Remuses, but this was kind of a high-end...
Yeah, the 20 and 25.
I think we brought in like a high-end version, but we haven't brought in the Repeal batches.
Forgive me.
Maybe we have. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, these are MGP. Every year it's a blend. This year is predominantly the 36% MGP rye. They're all at least 9 years. They're probably all 10 years. With 10% of this, 9% of this is 17-year-old or 16-year-old.
Really?
MGP.
Okay.
Comes in at 101.
Yep,
So
50.5.
Decent little ABV/proof.
I really like the nose. The nose is good.
Yeah, sweet, sugary.
What is the mash bill, did you say? Sorry.
Yeah, so the majority of this is, maybe all of it is. Yeah, so 9% of this is a 21% rye MGP.
You get that right.
Yeah,
From 2007.
Mm-hmm.
24% is a 21% rye from 2014. And then 67% is 36% rye.
But a good rye. Not to where it's so much wintergrain, spearmint that it's bad. There's still some good corn.
I'd love the 36% MGP rye. Really, always have. And the 21% isn't bad either. For the history buffs, MGP and Four Roses used to kind of trade whiskey kind of back and forth because they both used the 36-21 rye. And so there's some yeast sharing back in the day. Now there's no longer supposedly any of that, although that 9%, that could be from far enough back where there could have been some sharing. Anyway.
I tell you what, menthol meets heavy dried tobacco leaves.
Yeah. And then some corn syrup, sugar daddies
and sweetness on top of it, yep. The whole thing sugared.
I just get that classic green gummy bear rye note that comes in these MGPs. Just love it.
Did you ever try to go straight up thug mode and smoke Newport menthols?
Never. Half my basketball team did in high school.
Well, I may or may not have dabbled.
Was that the go-to thing?
Tobacco and menthol Newports, the upside down Nike swish. I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Under the bleachers in the Dayton area. Keith was hiding there in high school.
Springfield, get it right.
Yeah. Pats on backwards.
The field.
Oh, boy. Yeah, a little bit of that, Keith.
But the tobacco and menthol is totally there.
Yeah, it's so predominant.
But it's not too much of that to where the rise is when sometimes when it's 100% rye. Now there's some good 100% rise, obviously, but sometimes it's so spearminty that it's just too overpowering.
Like I said, I'm enjoying this little kind of gummy bear note that comes in there. You already brought up the brown sugar, sweet, caramel. You think you mentioned molasses, which I get a little bit of. The only thing
this smells like it's going to give me cancer. This is so menthol forward.
It's super sweet. I don't know about
you. A cola note, some kind of cola.
I could see that, maybe like a Dr. Pepper.
I could see just a straight Coca-Cola with a Mentos thrown in there.
Oh, what I get here straight up? Sarsaparilla, man. This is a little bit of an AMW or something.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
But the one thing I am kind of coming back to here is you mentioned tobacco, but I don't get enough leather. I mean, this is 10-year-old whiskey.
I said dried tobacco. You're right. There is no leather. There's no leather. There's no leather cream. That tobacco is somewhere in New Mexico, drying in a barn that someone abandoned, and the doors are open.
And so there's not a lot of depth, and there's not a second layer to this. There's not a second and third layer.
Nothing's moist left.
It's just sweet.
If you touch it, it's going to disintegrate.
Oh, you think it's more dry?
Oh, I think it's a dry tobacco note.
Moist.
It's definitely not fresh cut tobacco in the barn by any stretch, but
it was abandoned.
But this is not aged tobacco either. I would say it's somewhere between those two. But yeah, like I said, there's not a lot of depth here, and that's the one complaint. Otherwise, I love the nose. It's beautiful. It's bright. It's fruity. It's tobacco-y. It's menthol, but in a good way. And there's no damn dill, which I hate.
I wasn't ready for it. Sometimes, every once in a while, dill can be good, but you're right. Typically, it's not.
It's not something I like.
You've never had a dill note that was pleasant?
I don't like pickles in general, so that's kind of an unpleasant note.
Midwinter. Did you have the old school Midwinter's Nights Ram?
No, I never did.
Those ones had a slight donut.
That is super minty. Sweet, super minty, super sugared.
Mike always picks up mint heavy on rye bourbon more than
I
most
do.
people.
I do.
He's sensitive to it.
Yeah, and this is the epitome of it. This is a ton of mint. This is spearmint. This is eating gum with Mentos. Chewing on the spearmint little thing they put at mid-level restaurants.
Ooh, it's actually drinking better today than I remember.
Do you remember the Double Mint Twin commercial?
Yeah,
And
that's what I was thinking of. I was just the one skiing on a mountain with two blondes. Like, goodness gracious, this is sweet and minty. Tell me I'm wrong.
No,
I get more like fall leaves and spice than I do mint myself. Again, but I'm not nearly as sensitive to mint on rye as you are, Mike. Again, just a difference in our palates.
I agree, Dusty, because all I'm smelling is mint.
so we're still on the nose.
It's
right?
a candy.
I just tasted.
So I've cheated. I've taken a couple sips.
Yeah, I just tasted.
But on the nose and eventually in the palate, I'm going to spoil a little bit. And it's not strong at all, but a slight. Remember the soda fizzy bottle cap candies?
Okay, yeah.
There's like the grape one. Oh. Slightly, just barely.
On the
Behind
nose,
all
really.
the menthol,
I'm getting
other
grape.
stuff, the tobacco, all that other,
Oh, you know what? I do get a little bit of the grape note you're talking about. You're right.
It's hiding there and lurking in the background. It's not strong.
So to me, that was actually that green gummy candy I was talking about. But now that you've said the grape, I can see where you're getting it. But I still get more like a gummy green candy note.
Or even like the grape, remember what's the sugar that you like pour it and it's in those little sticks?
Oh, yeah, dipping sticks or
Dipsticks.
something.
Dipsticks.
Almost like the grape ones of those.
I tell you what, I don't really get a lot of grape, but I am absolutely getting the most mint I think I've ever gotten on a rye before.
Really?
This is bourbon, by the way. It's a high rye. But
I'm
it's
forgiving
bourbon.
me. Yeah, it is so minty.
So I'm actually really enjoying this one on the palate. So I'm getting the brown sugars. I'm getting the rye spices for sure. I mean, yes, I get some mint notes here, but like I got more mint on like the Lagavulin 12 than this.
I'm getting peppermint now. I'm getting a candy cane without the red.
The ice cream. Remember for Christmas time they have the peppermint.
Yeah, it's mint
ice
and
cream?
peppermint.
Oh, jeez.
It's a candy cane and peppermint ice cream.
So obviously there's so many differences to E.H. Taylor, but the one thing I really like about E.H. Taylor is it has the sugar daddy note, and I do get, and it's not strong, but this nice on top of that minty, tobacco-y, grapey. There's this nice little sugar daddy candies or sugar babies. Not sugar daddy, not like that extra outside layer that the sugar babies have.
I mean, the one thing I do notice on this one is kind of like on the nose, the palate. It's super explosive up front, and it's got a nice lingering spice. For 10-year-old bourbon, I want a little more depth, a little more transitions. I want more like a mid-palate and then a transition to the finish. This is a little lacking in that.
What's the ABV 50?
51.
Or 50.5.
101 proof, yeah.
It probably would have been, yeah.
I want Santa Claus to come down the chimney.
Now, it is worth noting MGP is generally a lower ABV distillate because they put it in and distill it at lower proofs. So as a result, they don't generally have super high ABVs.
As you know, I know a decent amount about bourbon, but I know more about Scotch, and normally it's 63.5 is what they fill it at. You know, what is the normal filling it for bourbon?
Generally, it would go in at 125 proof. However, that's the maximum legally allowed. MGP generally goes in lower, more like 110, I think. But again, MGP's been changing as they've evolved, so I'm not sure. Again, now that it's a law firm of Ross and Squib.
The law firm.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Squib sounds like he has a terrible haircut.
Oh, yeah, dude.
That's a comb over.
He totally does.
Squidward. All right, so guys, whiskey score
Not a
time.
fitted suit.
No, it's got shoulder pads. Whiskey score time. It's Keith's bottle, so
It's my bottle.
it's your bottle,
It's
Dustin.
my
As I
bottle.
said,
You heard it.
we'll go Keith. We'll go through this way. Keith, what do you think? Whiskey score.
You know what? I really like this. This has surprised me. So
Tell
I'm
us the
probably
score.
right. I'm probably right around where I was with that Kill Karen, man. I'm at about an 87, maybe an even 8. You could, I could go 88. I really like it. It's delicious.
I'm an 83. I'm just getting a candy cane without the red on it. I am sensitive to ryes, but goodness gracious.
Wow, so I'm a little disappointed with this bottle because
I guess I'm done.
I'm sorry, did you really have more?
No, I did not.
I was like,
I like the ABV.
okay.
Viscosity is nice. I don't say I don't like it, but I mean, if I want a candy cane, I'll just eat a candy cane.
I don't get that at all.
Jeez. With no red. Just a white candy cane. Like, take this plain candy cane.
Oh, I can't wait for the
No,
next
it's the
review.
green ones. Not this is the green ones, the ones that are.
It's a menthol cigarette. It tastes like cancer in a candy cane.
Not the red peppermint candy canes. It's the green ones.
Cancer in a candy cane.
I love turning this into a three-person panel. So I'm going to give it an 87, just like Keith did. I was actually expecting to give this an 86, but I will say I do think as it's opened up, it has got a little more nuance and depth on the palate. It's a very good example of MGP. It's not a good example of 10-year-old MGP. So if you guys are seeing this, 120 price tag on this, and you're thinking MGP 10 years, just be aware it's not going to give you that smoky wood smoke that I usually get on older MGPs. It's not going to have the leather notes, and it doesn't have quite the depth. But that said, 10-year MGP these days go for $200. So
yeah,
where's the skull and crossbones?
Huh?
On nicotine products. Feels like it comes with a hazard label. Okay, anyway, I hope I can taste the whiskey after this. Those are our thoughts on this particular whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this Remus Repeal Batch 4,
8.
If you had a chance to try this Remus Repeal,
cares?
If you had a chance to try this,
that's what Mike thinks.
If you had a chance to try this Remus Repeal Batch 8, let us know what you guys think. Dustin and Keith, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
No more menthol.